Welcome to my channel. So today's topic of discussion is permaculture. And when we as permaculture activists and practitioners find an error in our communities, a design flaw, we address it and then we come up with solutions for those design flaws to assist the community in general. Right now we're receiving rainfall in Monterey County, and I'm watching thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons just going straight into the ocean. And we've been in back-to-back droughts in Monterey County. We've been in back-to-back 20-year droughts in Monterey County twice. In my lifetime, we've been in roughly a 40-year drought. We've had some breaks. We've had some monsoons. We've had some heavy rainfall years. So they're not complete droughts. But California has issued water restrictions on us for the last 40 years, which they claim is a drought. So I'm going to give some rough numbers that are hard to understand, but Monterey County, on average, when it has 21 inches of rainfall per year, the whole county roughly receives 1.7 trillion gallons of water. Each square mile can receive, with 21 inches of rain, can receive roughly 365 million gallons of water per square mile. For every rain event of 1/16 of an inch of rain sleeting from one side of that square mile to the other is 1.086 million gallons of water. So when I'm watching water being funneled straight to the ocean, that concerns me because we're in a false drought at that time. Because we could be capturing on every building, and I didn't say just houses, and I didn't just say, construction yards, and I didn't just say commercial buildings, and I didn't just say industrial buildings. I said all buildings. If all buildings had cisterns attached, from 500 gallons to 1,000 gallons to whatever could be handled by the building and the community around it, we could make a significant dent with that water to provide for fire protection and to provide for irrigation of lawns and washing cars and things that we normally use water for, that right now we're using potable water for, that we're pumping out of aquifers and taking out of rivers. We could literally store that water and get it to be used for other applications: industrial, commercial, residential. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to go drinking that water. Many of the roofs that are in Monterey County are asphalt tar roofs, and so it's inappropriate to use that roof for drinking water without being able to filter and decontaminate the water from the oils and stuff. So the tar roofs that we use, the shingles that we use, are not appropriate necessarily for drinking purposes for the water. So we could turn it into agricultural water. We could water our lawns, we could wash our cars, we could wash the building, whatever. We do other things with it. We could store it for emergencies, for fire protection for the houses and the buildings and the structures, which would be an adequate use of the water. In the event of an emergency, that water could be utilized by the fire departments. It could be utilized by the county and the city for other purposes, agricultural and whatnot. But it would be a great way to store some value of water in the county. Now, I would recommend starting off with 500-gallon cisterns on every building, with the appropriateness of a 1,000-gallon cistern being a moderately good cistern to hold water, and then going up to whatever the landowner or the building owner can put on their site. I think there's a rule limitation right now of 5,000 gallons per building site. And 5,000 gallons is enough to do something with. So I'm okay with that rule if every building captured 5,000 gallons. You take that 5,000 gallons and you modify every building with that 5,000 gallons, and you can take a significant dent out of the requirement for washing cars and, watering plants and stuff like that away from our potable water supply, and we could take the stress off our aquifer and our rivers. I'm okay with that. Now, if the county was really smart and the state was really smart, they would allow you to put as many cisterns on as you could, reasonably and affordably, within reason, and there'd be some rules and regulations to that. But you're only limited for cistern water capture by the roof. That's the square area of the roof that would be running water off into the cistern, and then the overflow from the cistern to the next cistern and the next cistern, and then the overflow into when the tanks are all full, an overflow back into either landscaping or into a sewer system, which the water was going there anyways. So that has to be considered. So those are some things that I think about. And right now, in 2026, the last time I checked, cisterns were valued about $1 roughly per gallon of water. The smaller the cistern, the more expensive it is. So, a 500-gallon cistern might be, $750. So it's more than $1 a gallon. But a 1,000-gallon cistern was roughly $1,000, give or take, depending on who's buying and selling it, how many middlemen are involved. So a 3,000-gallon cistern would be roughly $3,000. And that does not include the labor to transport. That doesn't include the labor to install. That doesn't include all the other materials to install the cistern and hook it up to the roof and put all the drains and stuff on it. Yet that is reasonably inexpensive for water management for the county of Monterey, versus just hiking up the rates of water. Monterey, it wouldn't cost Monterey much money just to change the law and to change the construction law and say, write in a new piece of legislation saying all buildings are allowed to have X number of gallons stored on property, comparably to size of roof. That would be a good one. Like if you have 1,000 square foot roof, you can hold X number of gallons per year. And right now, I think the value that's allowed to be held at maximum is about 5,000 gallons. I'd have to check on that, but that's what I heard last. But that's not a bad problem. Like 5,000 gallons, if you got 5 tanks at 1,000 gallons a tank, you're spending $6,000 to install all that. Maybe 7. You top out at 7 with all your fittings and your plumbers and stuff like that. That's $7,000 to store 5,000 gallons basically indefinitely and use it for realistic purposes. Does not sound like a bad deal to me. And I'm sure that there's some philanthropists out there that want to get this done, and I encourage them to talk to the county and talk to the other community members, and let's move on this. There's angel investors out there that just want to spend their money in an appropriate fashion. This would be a great thing to do for our community, for fire protection, for greening the community up, for moderating the temperature in the community. There's a lot of benefits to having cisterns available. The county could use the water in the case of a drought. I'm sure that the residents would be okay with that. It would be more available water than we currently have when suddenly there's a drought. And I don't think that droughts are appropriate when we're receiving 1.7 trillion gallons of water per annum. So let's make some positive moves on this. If you're a homeowner and you're seeing this video, remember that you have the ability to put a pump in the cistern and have that pump, in the case of a fire, have that pump run water up to the top of the roof and have a sprinkler on top of the roof, sprinkling the roof, sprinkle, 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 getting the roof wet in the case of a fire, so that way falling debris doesn't catch the roof on fire. Really important. And then the water would be going back into the gutters and going back into the cistern and recycling. So it'd give the firemen a chance to save your building. And the last time I checked, when people used their insurance, they didn't get their insurance back again in California. So basically, the insurance companies are bowing out of California, so we need to protect our homes better because the insurance companies aren't responding in an appropriate fashion to follow through with the contract that they signed with the homeowner to protect the homeowner and their interests. So basically, the insurance companies are abandoning the state of California and not leaving any available way for homeowners to insure themselves except with the state, and the state won't offer a insurance policy that would replace their building. So this is just a transfer of wealth as far as I'm concerned. So for the homeowner, this is inexpensive insurance to put a sprinkler on the roof and have a 500 gallon to 1,000 gallon cistern and give the firemen a chance to save their house. That is serious, serious business. We've had a lot of fires in California in recent years. Paradise, Palisades, Northern California burned. The Tahoe area burned. We've had fires in Big Sur. We've had fires in Carmel Valley. We've had fires in Monterey County in general. In '86, we had a pretty bad fire in Pebble Beach. So we've lived through them. This is not some minor issue, and it's something that we can do something about relatively inexpensively per unit. So per household, I believe that any household could afford to put a 1,000 gallon cistern on their house with a pump, with some sprinklers and stuff. It's not that expensive. Do whatever you have to do to make that happen. If you're a philanthropist out there and you want to have a discussion about how this works and how we get this done, leave a comment in the comment below. I'll respond to you. If you're an angel investor and you just want to invest in fixing this problem, leave a comment in the comments below and I'll do my best to respond to you. This is serious business, and it's not that hard. It's really not difficult. It's not hard. The benefits way outweigh the costs. The cost to benefit ratio, the benefits are way higher than the cost ever. Any environmental activist out there that would boo-hoo this is ridiculous. So I'm calling all you environmentalists out right now. And I'm telling you that if you say that cisterns on buildings saving water in the case of fires and stuff is bad, fires burning down those buildings and having to replace those buildings is worse. So all you environmental activists out there that are trying to make laws that make it harder for us to exist because you want to save the frogs, we can save the frogs. It's okay, but not by burning down the whole community. Okay? So anybody that's an environmental activist, zip it. I don't want to hear it. What I want is solutions, not problems. So there you go. And that's not there to say that environmental activism is bad, but when the environmental activism is worse than the problem, that's where it gets weird. So, we need to thin our trees and we need to do some serious work on our forests. Okay? But we can do something very simple and clearly identifiable inside of cities to capture some of this wastewater that's being thrown right into the ocean for no reason, and we can put it back into functional use at almost at nominal cost for the landowners. And I think that's highly beneficial. So there you have it. There's my take on it. Have a great day.